Just got this Yamaha KX-490 Cassette Deck out because I wanted to use it for something, and unfortunately it's running slow. This is a 3 kHz sine wave tone, and as you can see that's reading more like 2.74, 2.7, yeah, 2.737 to 2.74 kHz. So it's running quite a bit slow. Now, you might say, well, just adjust the speed of the motor, but if you listen carefully, you probably can't hear it on the video. If I turn the amp off, while it's running, that motor sounds to me like it's struggling. It sounds like it's labouring and really struggling to maintain the speed. So I think we may have a bit of a lubrication problem going on in here, as well as the motor speed needing adjusting. So take the top off and have a little look at the mechanism and then adjust the speed. I'll just move the frequency-ometer out of the way so we've got a bit more room to work here. Incidentally, apologies if you can hear any background noise on the video at the moment, because I've got a fan heater going out here at the moment. It's a bit chilly. Right, there's the back of the deck. Date code on the motor, 15th of June 96. This is quite a modern deck, this, really. There's the... yes, that does feel a little bit on the stiff side to me. Now, is it the motor or is it the capstan bearing that's stiff? Let's just pop the belt off. It's making a bit of a funny noise when I spin it. I suspect the motor bearing needs a little bit of lubrication, which is a bit of a shame really, because it probably means I'm going to have to get the whole deck out. Now, I'm pretty sure you have to get the front panel off to get the cassette deck out, so we'll take the front panel off. In fact, this isn't necessary. All you have to do is unclip and remove the front cover from the cassette compartment, and then the deck can be removed without taking the whole front panel off, so this was actually a complete waste of time. I think the knobs are just going to come off with the front panel, actually. Let's pull them off then. No, I can't, because they're sort of tapered. They're difficult to get a hold of, so these ones will come off okay, but there we go. Oh, and the power switch is fighting me now. I think there's a little plastic peg that needs to come out there to release the power switch. There it is. So that comes out. Now hopefully the power switch assembly will come away. There we are. Then if we just disconnect this ribbon, front panel should come away. There we are. Just pop that out of harm's way and we have the front off. There's 4 screws, 2 there and 2 down the back here. So that looks fairly easy. So with those 4 screws out, it should be just a question of sliding the deck backwards and it'll come out. There we are. This wire's a bit in the way. Let's shift that out of the way. Pull this connector out. If I can get it. That should hopefully free up most of the deck, although the head wires will still be attached, but they're quite long. I'm going to have to disconnect the head wires, I think. But luckily they're just under a little loopy thing there, so I haven't got to undo a cable tie as far as I can see. Let's just rest that there for a minute. So if I can release this cable bundly thing. Yeah, there we are. Come on, right. Now I can unplug the head, the erase head, and the record replay heads. Might need a screwdriver to grab that, or some pliers. Let's see if I can just pull that gently with some pliers. I don't really want to pull on the wires because they tend to be quite fine, delicate wires on the head. So I want to pull on the body of the plug, which I've now done. So there we go. Deck is now free. So let's move the chassis out of the way. And have a look at this deck. Let's just see if I can get this front panel off. Usually they just clip off. Yeah, there we go. Although doesn't really help much in this case. Well, I don't really want to take the motor out because it would involve unsoldering it from here or taking this whole circuit board out, which I don't really want to do. It would be nice to get some lubrication on the capstan though, because it's sort of making that noise when I spin it, which doesn't sound right. Now, a capstan is held in place with a little tiny circlip. Let's just hope this doesn't fly halfway across the room. Oh, no, still got it. Now, there's probably a little washer on there as well, so let's rescue that while I'm here. Come on. Let's put that safe so we don't lose it. Now, the capstan should hopefully come out. One capstan. A little washer on there as well, which I don't want to lose, so let's just remove that. Nice and clean. I don't know if this pipe cleaner will fit through here, but we'll try it. Oh yes, it does fit nicely. Right, it should be nice and clean. Let's go through with the dry end. Just dry it out. Right. Little washer back on here. If I can actually pick it up. Go on. A little drop of oil on there. Not too much. Now hopefully if I just put that back into the bush... Oh damn, I've got some on the belt surface. That's annoying. Let's rub that off. The last thing I wanted was to get oil on the surface where the belt has to run. I think that's... It still looks a bit oily, doesn't it? Oh, that was a mistake, wasn't it? I'll have to clean that off with a bit of solvent. Yeah, I will. Right. Yeah, that's now free of oil. So hopefully we can just pop this back through. And that oil will work its way through. Oh, that immediately already feels a lot freer. God, what a difference. So, hold the flywheel from behind, put the little washer on. Yep. Now comes the really tricky part, getting the little circlip back on. I think I will take this back plate off because it'll just make getting the circlip on so much easier. There's another one of these little clippy things. Why can't they just use screws? That's got it. Well, I don't know if they can't just use a screw for that, I don't know. Is that going to come away? Oh, there we are. I think it was just the remains of that little clip that was stopping it anyway. Ah, now the blooming capstan's fallen back a bit, which is a bit annoying. I didn't really want that to happen because now I've got oil on this part here, which I didn't want. But I can clean that up afterwards. Go on. It's got it. Right, now I need to clean that capstan itself up a little bit. Yeah, that should be fine. And that is spinning a lot freer than it was before I started. So I think that's a big improvement. I'm happy with that. So let's put that little peg back in here. Should lock that side in nicely. Why on earth they didn't use a screw there, I've no idea. But anyway, there we are. That's now spinning so much more freely than it was. I mean, look at that. What a difference. And it's not making that buzzing noise either. One thing I will do, while I've got such easy access to the heads and the take path, I'll just give them a little bit of a clean. To be honest, they look spotless, but we'll give them a little wipe anyway. Yeah, there's nothing coming off that at all. Spotlessly clean. I don't think this deck's had much use, actually. And I've done the pinch roll, haven't I? Let's just use the dry end, give that a little bit of a buff up. No, there's nothing on those heads at all. So, see if we can get this belt back on then. I have actually flipped this belt inside out as well, so the new surface, so that's how it was originally. I've flipped it round like that, so the new surface is on the outside. Now this is going to be quite fiddly, I think. Get this around the motor. Not too bad. Get it round the capstan. Whoops, that's hooked over there. On. Still kind of feels a little bit stiff now it's back on the motor. Have I got the path correct there? It's not rubbing on anything? No, I think that's fine. These connectors back in. I'll just do the heads first. Interesting question is, how does this attach to the front panel? Where's the button? So there's the button. So it must go... I've got a switch on it there as well. And then we can put this stupid little thing back in. Jeez. Go on. Yay! Now we can get the little peg in. Oh, I hate these fixings. Just use a screw. Right, in. Front panel ribbon back in. Right, we're plugged in. Moment of truth. We have VU meter display. And we have playback. It's a bit squeaky. I don't seem to have any output at all. Oh. Helps if you connect the right cables to the output. Just a word of warning, there will be a nasty screeching noise on the audio in a few seconds, so you might want to turn your volume down or mute your audio for that bit. There will be a message on the screen just before it happens, but I just wanted to make you aware in advance so you're prepared for that in case you don't like that sort of thing. Yeah, it's playing. We have fast forward, rewind. But if I turn the amp off, it's squeaking. Why are we squeaking? Is that the motor? I've noticed when you first power this thing up, the motor runs briefly. So if I power it up, we get a little bit of motor run, but it's making that screeching noise. So I'm going to try just taking the belt off. Belt, yeah, so the belt can just hang there loose, and I'll do that again and I'll see if the squeak is still there. If the squeak is still, because there's now nothing connected to the motor, so if the squeak is still present, that means it's the motor itself that's squeaking Yes, it's not happy at all, is it, that motor? Yeah, no question about it, that's the motor bearing, isn't it? Damn, so I'm going to have to remove the motor. There's big old blobs of solder on there, so I'm just going to see if I can get them off with the desoldering pump. That's worked. A big old blob on here. It's just clinging on, isn't it? It's just a little... Yeah. So just lift those wires up out of the way. It's not an appropriate screwdriver for that, really, is it? Let's get a better screwdriver for that. Just lift these wires out of the way. There we are. Look. Where's the motor screws? I think they're recessed right down the ends of these tubes here, so I'm going to have to get this flipping cassette cradle off again. I was hoping not to have to do that. Yeah, getting it off's easy, but it was a bit fiddly to get back on, as I recall. So now can we see the screws? Where's my torch? There it is. Yes, there they are. They are right down the bottom of these holes here. Not sure even this screwdriver is going to fit, is it? No, it's not. I need a thinner screwdriver. I'm not sure this one's much thinner, but it'll hopefully be thin enough. Yes, it is. But there we are. That's undoing it. That's come. That's when was it? It was that one. Oh, just dropped the motor out the back. I'll leave the screws in those holes. Just keep this upright, they won't fall out. So there is the offending motor. That sounds blooming awful. Can we pull the pulley off? I don't like prying them off because it sort of puts sideways force on the bearing. Oh, it is coming though. Yes, there's the pulley off. And that is perfectly symmetrical, so it doesn't matter which way up it goes back on, luckily, because I can't remember. Let's just stick some volts on it and see what it sounds like. Right, I've got about 7-ish volts. That sounds terrible. Oh, blimey, that sounds awful. So I suppose I could try a little bit of oil on the top bearing, but I think I might have to get inside this and get at the bottom bearing. Let's just try oiling the top bearing, see if that makes any difference at all. This problem again. Maybe a slight improvement, it's still blooming noisy in it. I think I'm going to have to try and get this motor apart, see if I can do something with the bottom bearing. I never liked doing that though, because inevitably you have to pry against the circuit board there to get the back cover off, and I just don't like doing that because I just fear I'm going to damage something. I think I'm going to have to. There we are. I mean, superficially it looks okay, doesn't it? Just try some oil on the bearing, I suppose. Doesn't really matter if oil gets on the brushes because they'll just burn off, I expect. But I'll try and avoid getting oil on the brushes. Oh, I'm inevitably going to get oil on the brushes, aren't I, here? But never mind. Oops. So if we even get any oil on the flipping bearing, it'd be a help. There we are. Way too much oil. It makes more sense to get this little washer, oops, under the brushes first, does it? So that goes on there like that, but the brushes need to go underneath that. So I think I probably want to get this little washer on under the brushes first, which I think is going to require some tweezers. Alright, what are the chances of getting this in there without ruining the brushes? If I could pick the thing up, it would help. Put it in over there, get it to lay flat, and then slide it into position. I think that's got it. But I don't know how I'm going to get that back in here without scrunching the brushes up. I mean, it's now spinning, but is it spinning simply because I've just destroyed the brushes? Oh, it's running. Anyway, let's close it up. I don't think I'm going to make any further improvements in there somehow. Let's make sure that little hole lines up with the adjustment pot. Yeah. Didn't hear a nice sort of positive snap as it went on, so I'm not totally convinced that's on, but anyway. Heck of a lot of backlash in that. That's better. Bit of IPA just to clean the pulley, just in case I got any oil on it. I think I probably did. And to keep it factory, I shall put a similarly massive blob of solder on them to what they had on before. One massive great blob of solder. Another massive great blob of solder. Keep it factory. Yes. Yeah, fine. Right, here we go, let's power up then. Oh, blimey, to be honest, that sounded far better, didn't it? Don't want to play though. Oh, I haven't turned it on. Might help. Good Lord, it's working. And the motor's pretty quiet. I can hardly hear that motor now. Stick this thing back on. There we are. Which makes it look a bit prettier from the front. Now, the question is, where have I put my 3 kHz test tape? Let's get the frequency counter set up first. Right, here we go then. 3 kHz test tone. .05 kilohertz. 3.05, do you know what, that's pretty much spot on, isn't it? That's not worth adjusting. I don't see any point in adjusting that at all, that's fine. Thanks very much for watching.